Poisonrana.
Hello. Davie Portman here from Poisonrana at Davie Portman, wherever you go on your socials, at Poisonrana Pod. It is Sunday. It is 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And therefore, that means it's time for another episode of Poisonrana. However, this week's going to be a little different. We had NXT No Mercy on just last night, and you can find our review of that with Braden Harrington and John Cena. They covered the whole show. I still haven't seen the whole thing. I've just got the NXT Championship match to watch. And tonight is AEW Wrestle Dream. And you can actually check out a kind of preview I did of that with Stephanie Chase on the Fightful YouTube. So we might talk a little bit about Wrestle Dream with our guests, but it is going to be dated very quickly doing predictions today as the pay-per-view's just in a few hours. But again, one I'm really, really looking forward to. So it's going to be a slightly different show to normal today as we've got a bit of an announcement. I'm going to be bringing on some guests, and we're going to announce something new that's going to be coming to the Poisonrana pod, and I'm very excited to announce that. But it is also October 1st, which means it's the start of spooky season, which means it is the best time to sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/Poisonrana. And we always enjoy October. It's one of our favorite months over at the podcast because we love horror films, we love spooky shit, and we've got a whole lineup for this month. Starting off, we'll be continuing our series of Was Next on the Patreon, where we are looking at the 2014 NXT. We're on the road to arrival. I believe this might even be the go-home show we're talking about this week. So things are really heating up. I think if you are a fan of going back and watching some old wrestling, I think this is really the time you want to dive into NXT. It's when stuff starts getting really, really good, and you start seeing all your kind of main roster mainstays today killing it down in Full Sail University. So we've got that coming out this week, and the start of our spooky season. We are very excited. We have been talking about doing this film for a long time, and we keep missing out. We keep forgetting when International Moth Day is. So we thought, fuck it, it's October. Let's just do it this week. And we will be looking at Richard Gere in the Mothman Prophecies. I can't wait to talk about this film. I went to see this in the theaters when I was about 12. And I thought it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Growing up, I know a lot of people don't think so fondly about this film, so I'd be interested to rewatch it with adult eyes. And I know Braden's kind of in the same boat. We also have a Halloween Havoc coming up around the corner, and we put a poll, and you guys voted, and it is Halloween Havoc 1998. We will be looking at that. I can't wait. This has one of the worst WCW matches in history, alongside one of the best WCW matches in history. So that one's going to be a lot of fun. And then going back to the movies, we have an episode of Up Yours with our world champion family member, Dickie Bird, as he has picked Lars von Trier's Antichrist. So that's going to be very interesting. I've seen a couple of Lars von Trier films, and they certainly are interesting, and be very interested to see what Braden has to say about Antichrist. We also have a Friday the 13th in October this month, so it's the best time to look at a Friday the 13th film. And, well, we've been going in order, and it's now Friday 13th, Part 3, where Jason finally gets hold of that hockey mask we all know and love. And then, what else do we have? I think rounding it off is our Halloween review series that you can actually get for free on this very feed. Go back if you haven't listened to them already. We've been covering every single Halloween movie in order. It's a bit of a tradition now at Poisonrana, and we are up to number 6. It's kind of like the end of this this like second trilogy they do. This is where it gets all really weird. The Man in Black, witches, curses, and of course Michael Myers. So that's going to be a lot of fun. One of our favorite shows we do every year, dropping on Halloween. But that's not why you're all here today. You came here for the huge announcement, the announcement that's going to shake the foundations of wrestling podcasts to its very core. And well, I'm going to bring on our first guest. And yeah, let's bring in Mr. Martin Bushby.
Hey, Davie, thanks for having me on, mate. That's wow, what an intro. I'm here to inject the poison into a Poisonrana. That was hilarious. Just obviously, I've just been behind the scenes listening to what a month you've got coming up. I mean, you've got some fucking brilliant stuff coming up there, haven't you? Lars von Trier films, Halloween Havoc 98, and then obviously this new show that we're going to announce now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Martin, you used to be part of the Post Wrestling Network, kind of our fathers, our brothers, whatever that is. We're all in the same universe. But you kind of hung up the headphones and the mic a year or so ago, and you've been brought out of retirement.
I have indeed, yeah. Obviously, as anyone who was following, British wrestling experience knows that sort of like Brit wrestlers are a bit in the toilet now. So, kind of got a bit tired of covering that scene. So yeah, this is a project that I really, really wanted to do for a long time. And I thought, after being at Wembley and then, seeing your guys' live podcast, and it really sort of inspired me to get this new project off the ground.
So you're the Terry Funk of wrestling podcasts now, I guess. Oh, indeed, as Chris Elliott says the same thing in the chat right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a guy to be, compared to. Yeah, I'm happy with that, being compared to Terry Funk. Yeah, why not?
So you've got this project you came up with and wanted to bring you out of retirement. And I'm going to go full disclosure here. We're filibustering a little bit here as we're going to be dealing with 3 different time zones today. And I think one time zone might have defeated a certain bird on the other side of the pond there. But I think, Martin, if you want to announce our first co-host of yours over there in the land down under.
Oh, yeah. So it's not just going to be me doing this podcast. We're going to be having the one-man Brisbane Combat Club himself, Dickie Bird. And then we're also going to be having the man of 1,000 paper plates, Brandon from New Jersey. I mean, I couldn't think of 2 better people to do a podcast with.
Absolutely. This is going to be chaos. I think it's a good job you guys aren't doing this live. But I can't wait. Just hearing you 3 together is going to be fun enough. But I'm really excited about the actual topic you've decided to talk about. And you might be familiar, some of our listeners, with Mr. Dickie Bird's work. And if you go over to our Twitter just after this show, or even just now, if you prefer, there is a little video hyping up what we've got coming. But Martin, I think we can't hold this any longer. What have we got coming up?
Well, Davey, it's going to be called Eagles Don't Hunt Flies, and it's going to be a mixtape all about that man, Jon Moxley. Like I said, it's something I've wanted to do for absolutely ages. I mean, there's so many wrestlers you could do mixtapes on, but for me, Mox has got such a rich tapestry of work, hasn't he? We've got a 20-year career to delve into. He's not only a brawler, technical wrestler, deathmatch stuntman, the amazing promos, his work on the indies, WWE, AEW, New Japan, and on top of all that good stuff, who can forget about all the bad stuff as well, the gas mask, the potted plant, his brief appearance with Renee on Total Divas. I just feel like, he's got such a, wide, diverse career. There's so much stuff to get your teeth into. And I kind of feel like what's great about the 3 of us is that, I'm sort of like, a big fan of Mox, and then sort of I think Dickie's in the same bird, and then Brandon's sort of somewhere in between. So it's kind of like we can get some good discussions going, some good arguments, and it's not going to just be us 3. Obviously, we'll just run this thing for as long as we can get some steam out of it. But we're going to have some guests coming on with us as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, he's got such a diverse career. And I just feel like he's perfect for like a real deep dive podcast. I know you guys do your best match evers and things like that, but I felt like this was a wrestler that you could get a lot of mileage out of.
Absolutely. I think it's a kind of fascinating career because just looking at that incredible video that, well, I'll say for copyright reasons, someone might have made, but and you can see a bit of a signature on that of who that might be. But yeah, just watching that video, there's so much you've forgotten about this guy's career and just how really diverse it is. Braden and I just recorded our best match ever, Bray Wyatt, which is on this very feed for you to listen to free. And obviously there are those Shield matches from then, which Shield was such a like huge thing. They were like the real like main event scene and really kind of invigorated WWE in that 2012-13 period. And to see where all three of them are now, like all these years later, Roman kind of really on top of the game, just like this ultimate super big boss in the world of wrestling. Seth kind of killing it on Raw, having the whole like crazy attire and ring gear and all that. And then Mox just completely removed from his stuff as Dean Ambrose, that you even kind of forget he was that guy. But not just that, going right back to, CZW, where he started all the deathmatch stuff, going to FCW, that potential feud that never happened with Mick Foley, to exploding on the main roster and then completely reinventing himself in AEW, as well as like just his personal life as well, which he's kind of worn on his sleeve throughout his career too. I think it's going to be a fascinating show.
Yeah, I mean, you just say that whole period of the Shield, and WWE was in the toilet, really, wasn't it? A lot of the times, then you had CM Punk, and then the Shield came in, and really revitalized that sort of like top end scene. All the sort of like matches they had, not only against other people. Everyone thinks about the Evolution matches and then the Wyatt matches, but then also against each other. That brilliant sort of like turn when they split up the first time, and then going back even to FCW, the stuff they had there, that's just like a small period of his career, and you could, get sort of like hours and hours of content out of there. And even like you said, sort of like his stuff in CZW, letting my Britishness down there. Yeah, even that's when people really started to notice him. His promos, there's a bunch of them you can check out on YouTube, and we'll be going into depth on them. They're still very raw. I think him in FCW, it really helped him a lot, develop those promos, but he was really known as sort of like the promo guy around that time, and sort of like that's when he became known as sort of Deathmatch John. I believe one of my co-hosts has joined us now.
I believe we've got both of them.
You had to be late.
It wasn't intentional. I don't plan these things, but it's good to be here. If you hear somebody, I got company in the background. But what's up?
We're good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, we're good. We're just talking podcasts,
Something happened I don't know about.
So Brandon, let's go to you. How did you get involved in this?
I heard we're doing a podcast about the history of Brexit. Is that true? God
no.
What's your question, David?
How did you get involved in this? Eagles don't hunt flies.
Yeah, Martin. Well, he we DM a lot. I talk to that guy almost every day. And I don't know, on a whim, he was like, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" I was like, "You know what? Why not?" And here we are.
Because there are not enough podcasts out there, are there, Brandon?
Nah, I mean the world's never enough full of podcasts, right? I mean, people got to drive millions of miles. You got to fill the time. So
exactly.
I guess he'll be one of them.
And we also have Dickie, who's in his red room right now, looking like a complete serial killer. But how's it going, Dickie Bird?
Wait, where's my sweater?
Is it in your bag?
Everything is okay. Welcome to my life. Off to a really good start. I've screwed up the time. I thought it was an hour from now. Luckily my child woke me up for this, but I'm gonna. He sort of stops crying when Brandon starts talking. So that might be something that I need to look into. Possibly Eric suggested when Brandon falls asleep in our watch-alongs that maybe the snoring will put Harry to sleep. So I don't know how much longer I can talk before he goes mental again, although
That's
he seems
good.
to be calm, but and I have the white noise machine behind me. Maybe that's a bit better. Goodness gracious.
You also have the red light of the Fiend.
Yeah.
Yes, the red light of the Fiend. This is a Fiend podcast, is it not? Which one? What are we doing? Look, Martin, as you know, he has a good friend, Deathmatch Richard, who unfortunately is extremely busy with his own podcast, Benno. And when he's not doing a podcast, he's boiling people's piss on Twitter. So he came to me and he said, "Hey, you're Richard, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm a Richard." And then Martin said, "You like death matches as well?" And I was like, sort of. And then he's like, "Well, have you ever seen a Nick Gage versus John Moxley match?" Oh goodness, I've gone out of the thing. And I said, "Well, actually, Martin, I attended one of them live." And he said, "Perfect. You're now my new deathmatch Richard." So WH Park will be very pleased with that. There's a new deathmatch Richard, and that's me. So if you're wondering why I might be on this podcast, basically this time last year, Davie, we were sitting in your apartment and I was telling you that, hey, I'm about to fly to Atlantic City to see the AEW champion job out to Nick Gage in front of 200 people. And that is exactly what happened. And we will be talking about that.
Okay, so how is this show going to work? I believe you're doing it the second week of each month. So we're debuting on, I believe, the 13th of October.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, Davie.
Perfect. And,
yeah, why not?
How's this working? Are we looking at individual matches? Are we looking at kind of going in order of his career? Martin, how is this project going to work?
No, yeah, it's going to be all over the shop, mate. So sort of like some episodes we'll just be looking at individual matches. Some we might be looking at, specific feuds he's had with certain people. Some, sometimes we might be looking at podcasts he's done. So, everyone remembers the Jericho one and the awkward one he did with Steve Austin. We'll be looking back, at his book. So it'll be, month to month. It certainly won't be in order. It'll be a variety of sort of like different things each month. And yeah, like I said, he can even go, he's done some WWE films as well. Was it round? What was it? 6 rounds, part 4, or something like that? And then, obviously his stint on Total Divas and things like that. Like I said, there's so many things to look. And obviously, in the G1, we couldn't forget him with Showroom. So there's just little bits we're gonna be looking back from his career.
John Moxley has a body of work that is like under like low key. It's a lot. And it needs to be talked about, and it's not talked about enough, especially his CCW run. There's a lot of good stuff on that also, so I can't wait to discuss that. I mean, I'm excited. I'm sports entertained excited. Plus his pilot season, of course. So this is we'll see how our pilot goes, right? I'm excited.
So I'm going to go around here. Brandon, you mentioned the CZW stuff. What in particular, what part of his career are you all most looking forward to talk about and get your teeth sunk into?
The match of death, that stuff and stuff like that. It's very vast and it's pretty interesting. I'm curious to discuss all that stuff. I can't nail it down one particular one because there's a decent amount, but I'm sorry to disappoint you because I'm horrible at nailing down stuff. But there's a breadth of stuff on it in a CCW run that's pretty interesting.
Mr. Bird, what about yourself?
For a man who doesn't say a lot and is quite private, I think he says when he says things, they're very impactful. And so, things like his book or the interviews that he's done outside of the wrestling.
Oh, you're talking about me.
Oh, and it's that kind of comedy that you can look forward to, guys, on the podcast. And the screaming baby in the background. It's going to be great, everyone. No, but like even his troubles with alcohol dependency and going into detail on Renee's podcast on that, I thought was extremely impactful. So, he's a really private person, but there's actually a lot out there that is known about him, sort of in these very few and far between interviews that he does. He goes into a lot of detail, and I'm looking forward to kind of using that to cross-reference, using the book and everything to kind of pad out these shows and add a bit of color to them. So that his year last year was pretty much cemented things for me as, probably one of the best wrestlers in the world. But he went from a comedy goofball to this, and looking at that kind of transition will be really interesting too.
And Martin.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, there's loads of stuff you can get into. I mean, you mentioned CZW there a minute ago. He's tag team in there with Sami Callihan. Obviously, he's feud with Nick Gage, and even, I know he's not somebody that people want to talk about anymore, but Drake Younger, they had some cracking matches together. And then it's not just the good stuff. Obviously, we've got all the stuff in AEW and stuff like that, but then there's also the whole Brock Lesnar feud. I think that's going to be really interesting to unpack all that, where went wrong with that, and, Brock wasn't interested in it. Then we had the awkward Steve Austin podcast coming out of that, so all that'll be really interesting to unpack. And then obviously we were talking about his Shield stuff, and then there's even interesting bits in his undisputed title run. You've got his matches against AJ Styles and that, the Shield breakup. There's just so much I'm really looking forward to going back and unpacking. I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to look into.
I can't wait for the Nia Jax feud. That's all I'm saying. I think went under the radar a bit, but yeah, not talked about enough. Awesome, guys. So what can we expect from episode 1 dropping in just a couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, episode 1 is going to be his one of his all-time feuds. I mean, 10 years these two guys had a feud. It's got to be none other than that man Nick Gage. I mean, these guys fought all over in 2010, and then obviously Mox went off to WWE, Gage went off to prison, and then come back again and in the fighting again in GCW. So there's all the promos to include in that, and then obviously talking about comparing and contrasting how they were back in 2010, comparing them to an GCW, and then like Dickie mentioned there earlier, he was at the last match they had live. So yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to get into some of that stuff.
And this is the reason why you want to join the live streams. Just looking at Dickie in a dressing gown and a cowboy hat right now. Embracing that new farmer life of his.
This is my new aesthetic, and I fucking love it. And Brandon's gone.
And Brandon's just gone, yeah. Well, guys, thank you. I'm so excited.
Before you sign off, Davey, can I just say thank you? I know, obviously, this live stream has been absolutely chaos. Would we have it any other way? It's been brilliant, mate. What a way to make an announcement. But thank you to you and Braden for allowing us to come on and do this podcast. I know it's a bit of an experiment, so thanks for you guys for letting us come on, and obviously thanks to that whichever guy did that video for us as well. Definitely go and check that out.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. I can't wait to listen to this. I think it sounds like a great idea. We're really working on doing our kind of rotating shows on this feed. Obviously, we've got Detox, which a new one's coming out next week with Braden Harrington and Jordan Goodman, where they talk about everything outside the world of wrestling. They'll be putting on a bit of a Ask Me Anything thread on Facebook. And really, you can ask these guys anything. It's a great chat. Both guys just bounce off each other so well. And then we have What Up, Doe? We released a new episode a couple of days ago with B. Detroit and John Cena, where they the last episode they talked in depth about the end of Heels that was unfortunately recently cancelled, as well as their thoughts on everything going on in wrestling right now, hip hop, pop culture, video games. A great show. Again, I just love. I don't always know or follow what these guys are talking about, but I just love listening to them. I think they've got fantastic chemistry, and I think you guys are going to have it too. So I can't wait to hear you guys once a month talking all about Mox.
We'll get on the same time zone, I promise, Davey.
Just wait until there's daylight savings hit, Martin, in North America and then in the UK. I'm going to be all over the place, so expect me to just go missing.
Well, let's just not try it live, right?
Yeah,
for sure, but still.
Yeah. And the show will come out at some point on the date we say. And, and then we're good.
Friday the 13th. What could possibly go wrong? It went so well today. What could possibly go wrong on Friday the 13th?
Guys, anything else you have to say before we wrap this thing up? Excited for Wrestle Dream tonight?
I won't be staying up and watching it. I'll be watching it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm rather excited, especially for that Daniel Bryan against Zack Sabre Jr. match. I think that's going to be cracking. But yeah, Friday the 13th, first Eagles Don't Hunt Flies. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Dickie?
No, nothing. Just sorry for being late. I would have missed the entire thing if my child hadn't been screaming. So, lots of banter. I'm going to try and get the best out of Brandon, and by the best, I mean the worst. So please come along for that and listen. And anytime I can be sharing a stage with Martin in anything, I'm always down. So. If I can show up on time, I'll give it 100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys. Go follow the Twitter to have a little look of what to expect at Poisonrana Pod. You can find me at Davie Portman. As I mentioned, we did release our best match ever, Bray Wyatt, on this very feed. We went like over 2 hours looking and celebrating the whole career of Wyndham Rotunda. And, there are some real hidden gems there. So give that one a listen. I actually really enjoyed doing the show with Braden this week. And over on the Patreon, we just released our No Mercy 1999 review, headlined by Triple H versus Steve Austin. We also had the ladder match, the infamous ladder match between the Hardys and Edge and Christian for TIT, the title in the Terry Invitational Tournament. Really fun show to talk about to get us hyped up for last night's No Mercy. Check out Sino and Braden's review of No Mercy on the Post Wrestling feed. You can find us next Tuesday talking all about NXT on Post Wrestling, as well as all our spooky stuff coming up on patreon.com/Poisonrana. But that's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, guys. Enjoy Wrestle Dream. Dickie, go to bed and have yourself a little Wrestle Dream right now.
Yeah, all right. Sure.
All right. Okay. Take care, guys. Thank you very much. Be safe.
Bye.
Take care. And ahoy!